Hello and welcome back to Leeds United, where there has been a betrayal of the most epic proportions. I'm not best pleased. With 18 months remaining on his contract, Illan Meslier has decided he's going to leave on a free at the end of that contract. The reasoning's vanished. Ignore his agreed playing time. Obviously, I got angry when he decided to do that. I thought telling him he'd rot away in the under-21s might be the only option to actually stop him from doing it, but apparently they're all just, never mind, options. But what triggered his initial unrest was my refusal to sell him for about 35 million all told to Newcastle. He was upset he wasn't allowed to leave to a bigger team. That's right, he views Newcastle as a bigger team. Dear Sports Interactive, please sort your game out. We currently are in 3rd. Newcastle are currently in 11th. Newcastle do not currently have European football. We currently have European football. Also, shout out to the update to the skin, which appears to have added more boxes onto this page. Clean sheet says, actually, rather unfortunately, moved directly behind my head, so one of the more important ones is now missing, but never mind. But you want to know what the worst part of this whole ordeal is? He was initially suffering from a little bit of unrest in the summer, as I kind of mentioned early on, because I rejected offers from Valencia, where he wanted to go to most of all. I rejected offers from like Inter Milan and Spurs, I think it was as well. But it was Valencia the one that set him off, because he clearly understands what a better team is. And I agreed to sell him if I received an offer of 95 million. That was his offer. I said, I'll sell you if the right money comes in. He opened with 95. I went, yeah, all right. He might have opened with 90 and I got him to 95. Can't remember exactly. But Newcastle's offer was 35 million. I reject that. And it comes with, you've broken your promise. Like, no, I haven't, because that was 60 million less than what we agreed. And then a week later, he says, I'm leaving at the end of 18 months' time. Not leaving this summer, next summer. Why is that even a thing in the game? So now I have to find a new goalkeeper. Also, side note, it seems almost irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, but I have also been betrayed by Josip Sitalo because I rejected an offer of about 40 million for him from, again, Newcastle. He got upset. I said, you could go if we get 65 million, 62 million, something like that. Leipzig offered 70, so I had to accept it. But 70 million seems almost irrelevant, but we're playing Burnley. I'll show you the games in between after this match. I've wasted enough of your time already. Now, Burnley were relegated, so I suspect they have lost a few people, and we probably shouldn't be playing Sitalo, let's be honest. Although maybe we all do just because it's his last game and he can sod off after this. But I'm kind of intrigued to see how Meslier will actually perform in this situation, but perhaps we should be playing Galini for this cup game anyway. Okay, Nathan Baxter's better than him. We'll put him in goal. We'll rotate a few of the other options, and it will be Baxter in goal. Strike, Cresswell, Sitalo, Skov, Adams, Almada, Christensen, Bamford, Milovanovic, and Nketiah. It doesn't feel that weak when you say it like that, but a few players have had knocks in the meantime. Bamford had his injury. I think that happened in the last episode. Nketiah just taken a knock, I think, as well. Also, just a general note about the skin as a whole. They have updated things, and this font is now readable, but still slightly too hard to read, but in a different way. But I kind of appreciate the fact it has changed to a font that is, at the very least, on the basic level, that little bit easier to read. Still a little squished, particularly with longer names, but nowhere near as much of a problem as it was. And it's definitely a lot more readable on this bar beneath us. So the link's down below again. Download the updated version. Oh, Exeter got through to the 3rd round, but they are currently already losing to Aston Villa. Shout out to my former team there. Lincoln through as well. I should say, Bamford's already injured. What's happened there? Christensen, he's only just come back from injury. Nketiah put the ball in to the goal. I did intend that to be a cross, but sure, we'll take a goal instead, Eddie. Still just chipping away. Tight hamstring. I presume I have Makoko on the bench. I do. That's the problem, Burnley. You injure one of my players. I think it was of his own doing, quite frankly, in this case. But injure one of my players, all I do at this point is improve on them. I've only brought better players on this bench than they're already on the pitch. So, be physical and aggressive at your own peril. Nketiah, Almada, that's Milovanovic. Oh, what a ball that is. Oh, I started to say Milovanovic and then I realised I was too long a name to actually say. In frustration, Marco, I should have gone with. Makoko in. Kickers against their player, because why would you bother not? That might get intercepted. It was intercepted. That's a great ball to Eddie again, and wide. Skov to put this ball in, strikes there, and fascinating movement from the goalkeeper, who appeared to have turned into Crabman. Almada with the next corner, strikes on this one. Crabman not in the way of that one. I'm pretty certain that's Jack Alnwick, who once upon a time was at Lincoln for a year, maybe. But Almada on this side strikes the one to meet it. It's lovely. Lovely finish. Yeah, we've actually genuinely, to follow up on that, we've genuinely scored more corner goals since the patch than we have probably now in the entirety of the 2.5 years that we've been playing. So whatever they did to nerf the corners has actually made me stronger, which is quite nice because I was getting alarmingly few corner goals before. Armada here, another dangerous corner. That one's gone into the middle though. That was pretty poor, all things considered. I should say I have already begun operations on replacing Sotalo and Melier. Of course, actually, I need to get a bid on Melier first. That's yet to happen. I offered him out for blank and people offered me 15 million, which is just laughable. Adams, he's genuinely one of the best goalkeepers in the game at this point, but half of me is just tempted to keep him for the next 18 months because we're probably not going to go too much further than that in game. I did have a bid for Alex Merritt accepted and he wanted too much money, so that didn't go particularly well. 2-0 feels relatively comfortable. Bear in mind, of course, we have already made one substitution. Oh god, there's a lot of bookings. Ord, Tino, Adams for, Rocker. Let's do Rocker in this case because he's on the bench somehow. Not sure how that happened, but might as well. Twined put the ball in. Cresswell to head clear. Still haven't put anyone on the edge of the box defensively. I now realise Cullen gets that deflection. Moore plays in all of the space and then not scored. And Ord has inexplicably kicked that out for a corner rather than a free throw-in. Decisions still seem to be a problem. Striker is clear. More play to gather. We're never going to have a man that far out. Doyle books that and we're clear of highlights altogether. Arsenal winning 5-0. It's Cheltenham. Lads, be kind. Hour for the last 5 just to hopefully seal this up in midfield. I think Lincoln took that to a replay. But, we rotated, but it wasn't that much weaker. So, went as expected, really. Lincoln did take it to a replay against Brighton. I'm not seeing any major upsets, which is a shame. Depending on which divisions Ipswich and Peterborough are now, then them beating Sheffield and Reading are minor upsets, but beyond that, nothing. Okay, so this is popped through now. I'm basically just trying to beat Gladbach, who have offered 6.25 for him by offering 6.5 for him. Kanaseki at Atalanta. Now, he's their backup goalkeeper. Their first choice goalkeeper is probably quite useful, but I like the fact he likes big matches and is consistent, and he does have that extra star's worth of potential. And he's not valued at much. He does feel kind of like the next Melier in that sense. Kind of well-rounded. He's a little bit better mentally than the other option I've already had a bid accepted for. I'm tempted just to buy them both, because combined they're only going to cost me about 9. I'm tempted to buy them both because Galini's for some reason collapsed, I think. But he's not really played all that much. Reed ever. At 24, they're both 24, both him and the other option. We'll show him in a moment. But my one concern is the fact he's not good at sweeper stuff. But if I can get him good at sweeper stuff, but I like the fact his physicals and mentals aren't bad, which they kind of are on the other guy. So we'll start negotiations and see what he actually wants. Backup is what he's agreed to there. I'm probably going to start one of them and back up the other one. I'm actually tempted not to lower his wage too much because I do want him to beat Gladbach to the punch here. And bear in mind, I am actually being contested on this one. So it's the first time we've played Nathan Baxter as well. But I don't think he can get any better, which is a shame. Yeah, he's basically capped out already. So my other option is Georgi Mamardashvili. I probably can pronounce that a little bit more flowing. And you can sort of see the difference. Georgi's a little bit better, well-rounded on the goalkeeping technicals, but his mentals and physicals are lacking in comparison. 6'6" as well, so he's actually taller than Melier already. Does have the consistency, but doesn't have the big game mentality. Now, his value range is wild. I think it was about 3 million all told. Yeah, 3.5. So combined, they cost me exactly 10. And they both got that full star to develop into to become basically equivalent to Melier. Because of our current reputation, we are having to take a dip on that. We unfortunately can't just bring someone in of that standard straight away. And Tuchel's being sacked by Leipzig. How is that going to affect the Sotalo situation? Are they still buying him? Ooh, okay. Offered 30 for Melier and Newcastle have gone 25. But there is a second interested party. Maybe we can entice a bidding war. Oh, Nick Pope's been done dirty, hasn't he? I thought I'd just double check the Newcastle goalkeepers to see if there's anyone that would then be usurped. But, they got Vlachodimos and Pope. So Man was in. The good news is, of course, both of them have agreed to be a backup. And I don't think I delay this. I think I just get him in and play him if he wasn't immediately poisoned. There's some kind of sabotage going on here, surely. Company doing the hosting for the FA Cup 4th round. If we get a decent team in this, we might feature it next time out. I feel like this is the furthest I've gone into a draw without being drawn. Leeds at home, Derby. So full draw. If it was Lincoln versus Newcastle, I'd love that and hate that. Simultaneously, Manchester United versus Manchester City down there, still in League One. That Derby game has popped in after the deadline day, so that could be the one to bring you back with. Sorry, Conte. I've literally just bought Colwill. This has come out of nowhere. I don't think I've ever had that before. I normally get like a preemptive thing saying, we'd like to offer you a contract, and then sort of 3 days later in game, you get the contract offer. That'll see me through the rest of the save at least. Blimey. Posh is just going round in circles. Sutton, Spurs, PSG, Spurs, Southampton. I mean, a hell of a acquisition for them again. Also, how does he not have French scouting knowledge? Okay, so Tuchel being sacked by Leipzig didn't stop this 70 million sale of Satalo. I hate it, but they also put 20% profit in as well, so that's quite nice. Financially, where does that put us? Plus 30 million. Okay, so the deals I have lined up will get rid of that straight away. 90 million transfer budget, but I've only got 30 million in the bank. It's a weird world. All my centre-back scouting's come back. Well, he's turned up just in time for the game, actually, is Lucas Verissimo. Going for a budget, 20 million or so. I think he's 20 million pounds of central defender. That's kind of underrated. Not massively great on jumping reach, 15 on that and both that and heading, and 15 tackling. Not fantastic as ball playing, but basically the same regardless. Lacking a bit in vision. But for 20 million, he was upset at Benfica. Finally getting a Benfica player. Just not the one you were expecting, probably. But I think he'll do fine. He's 29, so 2.5 years worth still relevant in him, I would imagine, at least. Natural fitness isn't great, so probably about 2.5 years. I think for 20 million, considering we just sold a player for 70, I think that's a solid replacement, at least for the next half a season before we can sort something out properly, long term. By the way, whoever scouted him was an idiot. It is 3.5 stars now he's actually here. And Karnaseki is available as well. We're going to go for both of them, because bidding war initiated. 29 million from Inter Milan. As the better sweeper keeper as standard, Karnaseki will start in goal. Meslier has just been written off entirely because I don't trust a player that's unhappy. I particularly don't trust a goalkeeper that's unhappy. Ndicka, strike, Verissimo will get his start as well. Ord, Szoboszlai, Aouar, Livramento, Makoko, Pedro and Nakatir because Gomez got injured in the week as well. Bamford's actually good enough to come back here. Just realised it is a double C in Karnaseki, so is it Karnaseki? Possibly. Or is it that sound that I cannot do easily? Strike, close to beating Sanchez. Of course, the goalkeeper that we had at Exeter. He's also leaving Brighton at the end of this season on a free. Obviously, we couldn't move in on him because English teams can't take him from other English teams until 1 month to go. But he's already agreed to go to Betis. That's annoying. I was tempted to reunite myself with Sanchez, but alas, not to be. Cody heads that back to Sanchez. Cody's at Brighton. Interesting. Sakiri does manage to beat Strike to that. Caicedo to Tellez. Brian got Tellez. It was a weird transfer. I kind of wanted him. He went to Brighton. Sarmiento back to Tellez, because I know he's very good set piece wise. Sakiri, he was kind of first up on my list that eventually landed on Skov. Sarmiento, that made it easy for Karnaseki. Newcastle just beat QPR 7-0. We've not done QPR watch. They've actually won 2 games and now up to 3 draws. So up to 9 points. They're getting close to Derby's record. Not quite at it yet as Zakiri scores. A 7th goal of the season for him, so at the very least it's not that kind of embarrassment. As my assistant manager warns me about the gap between midfield and attackers again. Brennan Johnson there as well. Made the move from Forest at some point. Oh, QPR actually did get another draw, so they're on to 10 points. Minus 40 goal difference though, with 22 games played. Ord to Makoko. To Strike now. Back out to Ndicka. Ord again. We'll find Makoko on this left-hand side. See, they operate as inside forwards so much better than actual inside forwards. And it's just baffling why that happens to be the case. But if you're going to build a workaround, build a workaround. As my encourage goes through, it'll still be fine though, because it's a draw. Makoko, there, skipping away from that challenge. Drilled across, Nakatir, actually reminiscent of Phil Foden to Saka in the World Cup there. Shrugs off a challenge, puts it across, man on the back post. Caicedo slams it against Ord, but unfortunately the rebound just happens to fall to Tellez. Livramento, as though, has acquired the ball. Karnaseki out to Ord on this left-hand side, too, who I think has the armband. Makoko, I've only just realised Ord's captain. Just because he was on the list of captains, it didn't warn me that he was going to be captain. That's the case. He does have like 15 in both leadership and teamwork, I think. Caicedo. Still Caicedo. It'd be nice if someone vaguely went for a challenge there. And we are up on the XG, as always. Verissimo's lack of match fitness is sort of impeding his overall fitness at the moment. Sharpness, sorry. Get the terminology right. Liverpool kind of running away with the title again now at this stage. It's 9 points to Arsenal behind them, but they got a game in hand. That's because they're playing Liverpool right now. That's why that gap's opened up. Szoboszlai puts the ball in, and Ndicka had to back into that a little bit. Sarmiento will gather this, but immediately challenged. Strike gathers that loose ball, as it was. Szoboszlai to the byline. Finds Aouar on the edge of the box. Oh, lovely. The midfielders combine for Aouar's 6th goal of the season. Midfielders picking up a few more goals than these roles as well, I found. Great work from Szoboszlai, just does the stop and turn. 2 people near him, neither of them end up challenging him, which is a surprise. Goalkeeper maybe a little unsighted by Cody, and we take the lead all of a sudden. They have only had 2 shots on target, so the fact they've scored one of them is slightly annoying. Orders booked, so Skov on. Verismo is a bit tired, and I probably should have put... I should have put Cresswell on the bench, because he, at the very least, does have a right foot. Colwell's going to have to come on. I'm tempted to bring Milivanovic on for Pedro as well, just because he's not been great. We probably ought to change the midfielders. At the very least, change Szoboszlai for Adams. We've got one more substitution we can make later on. Whether that's Livramento or Aouar, we'll decide. Well, now actually, probably. Yeah, Christensen on as they go 4-4-2. And we're the actual ones now behind Liverpool, 8 points behind. I think that Liverpool game might have already finished. Of course it finished. It said Taremi 90+3 the entire game. Skov, 95 minutes on the clock. We are down their end, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Nekatir's come inwards and slammed it over. Never mind. Lallana's still playing for Brighton. Of all the people who have not retired yet, Lallana's still playing. Di Maria's just announced his retirement. Lovely little comeback. Do have to pay $6 million for Ndicka now. That's unfortunate, but do realise I didn't tell you what happened in the games in between. Leicester 3-0, West Ham 0-0 and 1-1 in the 2 games that we played them. Yeah, they're supposed to be a bit of a problem. 5-1 Southampton and 3-1 Norwich. So a bunch of wins in there and 2 draws with West Ham, effectively. I will bring you... Okay, it's actually Wolves after the deadline day. What I might do there is I might just round off the league stage, see if we can go 8 from 8 as well. Karabag next. See if we can actually win all 8 games. We'll round off that with maybe like an abbreviated Utrecht game, deadline day, and then Wolves. So if you enjoy this episode, or if you agree with my frustration the fact that I've been stabbed in the back by 2 of my key players, like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. Until next time. Ta-ra.